Going through any move can take a toll on anyone. However, relocating seniors or assisting a move as perhaps a state executor with compassion and respect is another ballgame altogether. The processes involved can be hugely challenging, including feeling very overwhelmed by the thought of downsizing, packing, moving, or even clearing an estate. Joining me to talk about how to take the stress out of a move when moving perhaps into a retirement residence is Janik Fauteux. She is president of Relocation entourage. Also, if you have a question, you can give us a call here at 790-0800 or text us at 514-800. Welcome to the show, Janik.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here. Janik, let's look at the emotional side of moving an elderly parent. So let's place ourselves in the shoes of this parent. As we spoke with Jacques, often there's a whole bunch of resistance to move perhaps into a residence. What is going on? Or I guess it could even be tough for the children of the family who are still perhaps even attached to this dwelling that they perhaps had grown up in.
Well, some seniors might have lived in their home for 30, 40, 50 years even more than that. So asking them to detach themselves very quickly from their home and their memories, it's asking them to rip a Band-Aid off in 2 seconds flat. It hurts, and I think there's a process to go through, and I think it takes time. It's best when you start early and you think about things instead of just rushing into things. Sometimes you don't have a choice, fair enough, but if you do have the time and you do take it step by step, it's best to take your time and go through your various belongings before you do the actual move.
Okay, so let's say the decision to move to a residence has finally been reached, but the individuals have not done what you're just saying here, which is prepare in advance 5 years before and this and that. And the move has been decided. Finally, that challenge to get the parent to agree to move has been made. What kind of challenges have you noticed in your industry in terms of work facing the families?
Well, there's the mountain of overwhelming steps associated with moving that they have to go through. So it's best to just go step by step. Make a list of things you want to do. Make a list of things that need doing. Like I always recommend to my clients to start with a floor plan. So if you've signed with a leasing agent like Jacques, and you have a plan, you have the apartment you're going to move in, you have your plan. So you know exactly how big your apartment's going to be. So then after that, all you have to do is look at your furniture. Is it going to fit into the new home? Place it in a plan. Start with that. And then at least it's going to give you it's going to break down a barrier to tell you, okay, well, my stuff can fit in, and if it doesn't, then what do I do, and what can I do with what doesn't fit? And obviously prioritize what's important to you to bring in the apartment, but also prioritize the things that are important to bring into an apartment. You don't want to bring 5 chests of drawers, maybe prioritize the ones that are most important to you, and then narrow down the other things that you'll need to have, like a bed, the obvious things, and so on and so forth.
You know, in speaking to rental advisors that I know, such as Jacques, sometimes the elderly parent wants to bring those 5 pieces of furniture. How do you go about convincing them that, you have to make a choice? And I think that's the part that becomes overwhelming.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Well, this is why the floor plan, and I come back to it, is super important. Even
to show the parent, I guess, right?
Exactly. So when you do the floor plan, it shows them that the very basics, that you put everything that they want to bring into the floor plan, and they see exactly the amount of space that they have to be safe, circulate, and then they know exactly that you're not just forcing them into removing certain items.
They're making the decision themselves.
You bring them to make the decisions themselves, and they see that their security is in the air, and we're doing this for their well-being. So it's not just pushing them to it, it's actually step by step getting them to understand and see why we're doing this, why we're telling them that, but that in the end they make the final decision.
We are talking about the emotional side of moving your elderly parent. If you have a question, you can text us at 514-800. Now, let's look at this. And again, speaking to Jacques about this, what about the lack of time of children let's say out-of-town children, when they need to move their parents, what are some of the scenarios that you face in terms of perhaps helping the children and doing it all for the elderly parent?
Well, first of all, always look in your surroundings. Who can help me? If the family can't help me, I've got friends, I've got old colleagues, non-profit organizations sometimes will give you a few hours. So always accept and take the help that is offered. Because a move is so overwhelming and there's so many layers to it, always accept the help. I know it's not easy. I hear you. I hear you every day. The help, just take it. Take whatever help you can get. And then after that, there are companies out there that help you with downsizing, to help you with the move, to plan the move, just to make it easier and to make the process a lot less overwhelming than it is when you start.
Have you ever had a scenario where it was so emotionally draining that the parent, it was easier to sort of remove the parent from the situation and just perhaps maintain the memories that they have, let them work on those, but even maybe those would be too painful? And does that kind of work at times as well?
Well, often families will come and see us and say, listen, my parents or my husband or my wife need to move. They don't want to. However, they have no choice. The doctors have recommended and made, they have to move. There's no questions about it. So we work with either the family or the other member who doesn't need to move. And we go with, they know the person. They know what they want. They know what they need. And we make a floor plan. We make everything. We don't make the decisions for them, but we make sure that when they arrive into the new place, it looks as much as possible as what they were into before. And so they don't have to go through the various steps of the move and the various steps of the preparation. I think that's the whole part of the whole mountain they create in their head of how crazy a move is. So by eliminating that from them and working with people who have their interests at heart, I think in the end they are happy. It is always a bit longer in terms of accepting a move for anyone who is a bit, I would say maybe 75 and older. The older you get, the harder it is to
Well, it's
adapt.
exhausting, just as you're talking to me about a move, that it is like a big mountain.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you sort of run away from those kinds of challenges. Now, conflicts. Let's talk about conflicts, because I want to talk about the whole emotional part of it. You know, you're not a psychologist, but you must have seen conflicts between kids and seniors and children and siblings that don't agree on anything.
Absolutely. There are three main things I always tell my clients. The first one is communication. Always communicate your feelings, what you want, what you don't want. That's number one. Number two, set your limits. What you're willing and not willing to do, and what you're willing and not willing to let go of. Because certain things, you know, there are some boundaries and you don't want to cross those, because that's what creates animosity and anger. And the third one, make concessions. You will see that once you've communicated and you've set your limits, the concessions are easier to make after that. And
even for the children. So, but what if the parent is not in charge and is not able to cognitively make those kinds of, I guess, you know, the criteria that you've just set? How do you deal with the family members?
Well, originally, when we sit down with them, we ask them what they need, but mainly what their parent need. And I think from the start, they see that that's what we have at heart. We're not there to... we're not there to push anyone. We're really there for people's need and to respond to their need in the end and make sure that they're happy and that we're not forcing anything. So whether it's the parent or the kids, that's what it's all about.
Okay, and usually they would probably see that. I have another question about the memories, okay? And I really want to discuss that. It might seem like there is too much to do, and where does one start? So, you know, all I can think of is my own in-laws and going to the basement and seeing stuff there that I just walk right back up. How do you deal with that?
Well, moving is like peeling an onion. You go one layer at a time. Start with the room that you use the least so that it's not so overwhelming. And you can, once you're finished with it, you can use it as storage. So you don't overwhelm the rooms you use very often with the idea of moving. So if you have a den that you use once a week, once every other week, start with that. Start with one drawer. Make that first hurdle the first drawer that you're going to open. and then it's just going to become easier. It's starting that's hard. Once you've started, it becomes easier.
It's like a snowball almost.
And it's a cleanse as well.
Yeah, no, it is a cleanse, actually,
Absolutely.
when you speak about that. Next, how to help an anxious parent with the downsizing part of the move.
Living Better with Elizabeth Stafiej on News Talk Radio CJAD 800.
Moving for seniors is often accompanied by feelings of excitement, guilt, and anxiety. Just the thought of going through years of accumulated treasures, downsizing, and getting organized causes people to become, well, I guess, overwhelmed. Joining me to talk about how to do it before perhaps moving into a residence is Janik Fauteux. She is president of Relocation Entourage. If you have a question, you can text us at 514-800. So indeed, how do you help an anxious parent? I think whether you're an elderly person, a young person, a move is a move and it's difficult. Sure. But when you're an elderly person, it's even more difficult. So how do you cope with the downsizing part of the project with your clients?
Well, we first sit down with them. Okay, we talk to them, we listen to their need. That is number one, because otherwise, if you don't listen to their needs, they won't come on board. They'll say another stranger, another family member who wants to come in and tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. So it's about listening to their need, work together, and show and prove that you are actually realizing and coming at the end, you're doing exactly what they want.
Okay. Now, so at your company during the break, we were talking about this. You actually have staff that, are professional organizers, sure. I guess, yep. Right? So they're very well qualified.
Absolutely. We're always looking. We have to have staff that have the client's need at heart. That's number one. I think otherwise we wouldn't be helping people and we wouldn't be successful at what we do.
And it's different from just a moving company.
Absolutely.
Right?
We're completely different. Entourage, Relocation Entourage helps with the move, plan it, downsize, and we help all the way to reinstallation. So all the various steps. We're not the movers. If you saw my arms, you'd think they're sticks. So we're surrounded by obviously amazing movers and strong movers, but we are definitely not that. We are the help, we are the planners, we are the organizers, the downsizers, all the way to reinstalling. And we always have a little touch of decoration and making sure it's comfortable.
Do you find the biggest part of your clientele are seniors, and perhaps those are the ones that need the most care and services from such an organization?
We have a wide range of clientele. We specialize with seniors, young retirees, professionals, and reduced mobility. So we've had a large range, as you can tell. Mm-hmm. We've had people who have had accidents, skull accidents, so they can't move, they're paralyzed. We've had Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and we've had, young families who just don't have the time to take care of it, or baby boomers who just want to go down south and, So
you have a varied clientele. So now let's go into some aspects of moving. I know you mentioned that you do something that is called repurposing mm-hmm. when someone is moving. What does that mean?
Well, when you go in an apartment, in a house, there's so many pieces that are there. Some are used, some not used. And some that are not used, they're still in great shape. They're beautiful, beautiful pieces that you find, rare objects that are not in display. They're not being used as they should. And we try to reuse them. It's called repurposing. So when we move someone, we'll do a nice little reading corner with certain chairs, and we'll not use a nice lamp, a nice table. It's just the arrangement that we do with it. It just creates a different atmosphere, and a lot of people like it because we reuse and put some of their items that they've received and have an emotional attachment to out there, standing and shining.
Okay, which makes them feel very good.
Absolutely.
About the item and themselves. We are talking about making the move and transition to a residence or assisted living easier. And we are talking with Janik Fauteux. She is from Relocation Entourage. You talked about the floor plan, so we've discussed that's very, very important before moving. And, are you, the person moving, is this person the only one that's stressed by this type of a project? Or I'm guessing the family members are as well, right?
Everyone's stressed about it because the stress just goes from one person to the other. So whatever stress the senior has, gives it to her daughter, her son, and the grandkids and so on and so forth, because it takes so much time. It's very time consuming that in the end it does affect everyone. And that's why getting a professional, first of all, by using a professional, the family can spend time with the seniors, with the family, and spend quality time. So whatever cost, if you calculate, if someone takes off time from work just to go and help their parent, how much money, you need to calculate that. How much money are they losing by helping their parent versus the cost of a professional?
And also the emotional cost. You're right. Because
Absolutely.
if you're too stressed and you're either yelling or, not being the kind of child you should be with your parent, that's an emotional cost. So I want to quickly go through cost. First of all, I don't know if you want to give the some indication of that, not necessary, but the total declutter and move to a residence from A to Z, and how affordable is it, and how quick can it be done?
Well, how quick can it be done? It can be done in 24 to 48 hours. If it's an emergency, it's possible. Ideally, we ask people to give us at least 2 to 3 weeks because we don't want to rush through things like we've been talking about. In terms of cost, we have an hourly rate. It's $75 an hour. I prefer to say that than to give you a bulk price of how much it's going to cost because everyone's different. We'll go in your house. You might have 2,000 square foot. Maybe someone will have 800 square foot and you might be moving into something much smaller than someone else. Everyone's different. It's best. We offer a free consultation to give you a cost how much your move is going to be because it is done to your needs and what you require, basically.
And, you mentioned an interesting thing about the emotional costs and all that, and if you have to take time off from work. But in terms of affordability, it's not only for the rich. In terms of the clientele that's coming to you, you're seeing individuals that, can't afford it.
Absolutely. We've done from a wide range. Like I mentioned earlier, our clientele is very different, and it's the same for in terms of costs. We've done moves that were $200-$300 because they only needed to move their clothes and maybe a few frames that we put up and so on and so forth just to make it a bit more roomy. And we've had mansions. So it's one extent to the other.
Yeah. Okay. Coming up, I'll ask Janik for her final tips on how to take the stress out of the move. This is Living Better on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
This is Living Better with host Elizabeth Stafiej, brought to you by LeCambridge and Point Claire. Enjoy the art of living your retirement to its fullest. LeCambridge.ca.
Joining me with her final recommendations on how to take the stress out of the move for an elderly parent is Janik Fauteux. She is with Relocation Entourage. Janik, we have about a minute or so left. Final tips should someone wish to make the move from their dwelling into a residence, and then if you can offer your coordinates as well.
Absolutely. Start early, communicate your needs and worries to be better guided. I think these two things will bring you much further and bring down the stress level. And if you have any questions, just contact us. Relocation Entourage. You can visit our brand new website, which we're really proud of, www.relocationentourage.com, or just contact us at 514-267-9681. I repeat, 514-267-9681. It'll be a pleasure to answer your questions and needs and so on and so forth.
And you would offer a free consultation as well, right?
That's right. We're offering a gift certificate of an initial in-depth move planning, cost estimate and charge, address change, moving guide of a value of $250 to a lucky winner at CJAD.
That's excellent. I've been speaking with Janik Fauteux. She is from Relocation Entourage. Thanks for being here with me.
Thank you.
If you have a question regarding a move to a senior residence, you can also write us at livingbetter@cjd.com.